Hello, hello. All the listeners of Align with Your Dharma, welcome, 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 wherever you're listening from, whether you're walking the dog or jogging or working on a project and listening to the podcast on the side. Welcome. Today, I have wonderful speaker who is a former Buddhist monk and a professional counselor who has transformed his career from a volunteer job as a meditation teacher to a digital marketer and a conscious leadership coach online. He's dedicated to helping his light workers, healers, and coaches align into abundance and magnetize dream clients. So I welcome John. Thank you, John, for taking time.
Thank you, Aruna, for having me. It's lovely to be here. Thank you. Hello, everyone watching or listening.
So describe the journey for me and the listeners that brought you to this point.
Yeah, interesting journey. So I like to think of everything as like a leadership journey. And so one of my leadership journeys that I have been on for myself was the journey of being a meditation teacher. So it started out as me going to basically I was a counselor. I was a professional counselor. I had fallen off of track in my life a little bit, and I used teachings on your purpose in life or your dharma in life to get back on track, which is interesting. That's why I really resonate with this topic that you do your podcast on, because it's been possibly the most pivotal thing in my whole life, actually. And so having got back on track, I found myself in a job where I was a substance abuse counselor. And I was helping people, but inside I was pretty miserable. And I was very stressed out, and I was disconnected from the meaning in life, and I didn't even know who I was, basically. And basically what happened for me was one of my clients told me about a meditation center that was nearby, and he could tell that I liked Buddhism and other things. And so I went to go check it out, and I loved it. So I moved in, I lived there for 5 years, and I just kept going deeper. I eventually became a monk. But the meditation journey that I can talk about is like, I started out as a follower. So we have to, in the leadership journey, the way I see it, we start out being led. That's like step one, is you have to become led. You have to be led in the thing. So meditation, for example, I had great teachers, and I needed their support to guide me. I couldn't do it on my own. I needed them to like give me the structure, to give me the steps, to hold me accountable, to kind of give me support as I walked forward. And I got strong enough where I learned to be able to meditate on my own. And this took a couple years, I'd say, before I became quite good at guiding myself. Like it took probably 2.5, 3 years or so before I can say like I was actually good at guiding myself in meditation, right? And maybe it took longer than that, but like around that time is where I noticed like I didn't need anyone to guide me anymore. I was really I just loved my own practice. I could do my own thing. I could think about things for myself. I didn't need as much. I still received guidance, but I didn't need it as much. And then after a certain period of time, about 5 years into my practice, I became like a professional meditation teacher. And early into that is where I became very good at guiding other people in meditation. Right. And so that, for me, the leadership journey is very much like we're a follower, or we're being led, and then we lead ourselves, and then we lead others. And we could even maybe say there's a fourth step of like, the third step is leading others in a small way, and then maybe the fourth step is like leading others in like a big global way, which is maybe I'm on course for that now, who knows. But Yeah, so anyway, that's one of the journeys that I've been on. And I think that really anything in life you can look at in that perspective of like, first I'm being led, then I lead myself, and then I lead others. And I guess I'll just, one more point of that is like, even from the beginning, I was guiding meditation. So like, even before I was quite good at guiding myself, I was teaching others too,
Mhm,
right? So like,
mhm,
just because I was teaching people every week doesn't mean I was on that step yet. Like I wasn't actually amazing at it. I was doing the role and I got better and better over time. But like I was still mostly on the step of being led. And then I started, and then I was like good at guiding myself and I was still teaching. But anyway, so I don't want you to, whoever's listening, to take it too externally. Like, of course, we're all helping other people. We're all helping ourselves. We're all guiding ourselves. We're all being guided. We're all doing all of them, right? And
mhm,
that's good.
mhm,
We should do all of
mhm.
them. But like, I'm talking about like real proficiency, like really being good at it is different. And anyway, just for whatever reason, I felt inspired to share that little story.
Absolutely, absolutely. How do you stay motivated? Everybody goes through a slump, right? How do you stay motivated?
Um, what motivate what works the best for me these days is that um basically, as I see the world seems to be falling apart a little bit.
Mm, mm, mm,
And
mm,
if anything's going wrong in my life or if anything's going wrong in the world, what I do is I don't know any other way of solving, like actually applying a real solution other
mhm,
than spiritual
mm,
solutions.
mm,
Right. And so like when things are going well, you can kind of think, oh, okay, I don't really need to meditate that much. And, I can just do my thing and I'm just going to focus on work for a while
mm,
and, just make some money.
mm,
And it's like easy to like focus on that stuff when things are going well. Right. But for
mhm,
me, like as soon as I start noticing like the world's falling apart and it really needs a leader like me to
mm,
step up and try to do my part, or something in my life isn't working. And it's like
mm,
when I realize either of those two things, I everything else fades away and the only thing I can see is spiritual practice. It's like a
mm,
camera. When it changes focus, everything becomes blurry except for one thing in the foreground or whatever. Like that's what happens in my mind when things start to not go very well. Is
mm,
I just remember, because I've thought this through a lot. And
mm,
and from my perspective, according to what I've learned, spiritual practice solves everything. And it's the only thing that actually can solve a problem fully. Like trying to apply external solutions
mhm,
is never going to solve the real problem. It's
mm,
like patching holes on a sinking ship. It's like, yeah, you can do it, but the ship is still going down, right? But if you can focus on the spiritual solutions, you can transcend problems and you can actualize your highest potential. You can transcend death. You
mm,
can learn to like manifest whatever you want, right? You
mm,
can appear with countless bodies of light and help other people constantly. Like spiritual practice is the only thing that gives you the full solutions. And so that's what motivates me these days, is to realize like actually I have no other option. This is my only way that I know how to really make a difference in the world.
So you go inward.
It's more like a refocusing of because your question was about motivation, right?
Mhm,
So what
mhm,
motivates me is just reframing it to see that the only valid solution
mm,
is a spiritual one, and
mhm.
then that would cause me to want to go inward. Yeah.
Um, what is your morning routine like? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I guess it depends, but mostly what I do is I wake up, I live right across the street from the beach. So I go to the beach early in the morning, depending on what time I wake up. Sometimes it's before sunrise, sometimes it's just after sunrise, sometimes it's a little bit later than that. And I just kind of sit there, or I swim, I sit on the beach, meditate a little bit. Sometimes I'll swim and then I'll come back to my room here and I'll meditate here. Um, and I try to do some deep thinking in the morning before I do any work and before I look at any screens. So that seems to be what makes the biggest difference for me, is like, taking an hour or two before I do anything like menial, but before I pick up the phone, before I do any kind of checking on stuff. Like, when we check on messages in particular, it puts our brain into like a reactive mode. And it's like we have this fresh canvas. Like, our mind in the morning is so open, it's so clear, it's pure. It's like we're just accessing subtle states. It's like a freshly fallen snow on like a beautiful forest floor. And we come in, if we check our phone, it's like peeing on it. Or it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's like changing your car oil on the snow. It's like, why are you introducing something foreign, something that isn't supposed to be there? Why?
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
not use it to, now you can paint anything, you can create any picture you want. And so this is the optimal time for accomplishing whatever our biggest goals are. And so for people who just love to work all the time, this is when they should do their deepest work. But for someone who's a spiritual person, this is when they should do their spiritual practice. And really anyone can benefit from doing, nature, quiet, meditation, journaling, contemplation, prayer, those kinds of things in the morning, plus exercise
Yeah.
is the other one that is amazing. So that's what I like to do. I don't always do it, but that's what works the best for me.
That is so true, though, because when we wake up in the morning, that even before we wake up, that all these thoughts come, and like you said, it's fresh canvas, right? So it's in the brain is in the alpha state, alpha brain waves. So it's like you said, it's a great time to think and reflect and be grateful for what, that you're able to breathe and you woke up in the morning, and then think about like what you want to accomplish that day.
Yeah. Any type of thinking like that, manifestation, gratitude, like, that's a good time for all that stuff. Definitely.
Beautiful. So how do you define success? And the success, has the definition of success, has it evolved over a period of time? Since you said goals, how do you define?
Of course it has evolved. Definitely has evolved over time. Where I'm at right now is, I just think success is when you reach your fullest potential. I'd say that's true success. It's just reaching your potential. I heard Jay-Z actually say something really interesting about this that you might like. It's related to the purpose in life, or dharma. And what he says is, it's not about like making money, it's not about that stuff. What we need to measure it by is, have I expressed all my gifts? Right? Have I expressed my gifts? Like, have I left them on the table? Or have I pursued those, the true expression of those gifts? And that's how you define success. I love that. I think that's true, definitely true. That's a better reframe, because we don't have control over what comes back to us, but we do have control over what we put out there. And so, I think expressing our gifts, it actualizes them. And that's definitely part of our potential. And so I'd say, like, whatever our potential is, like, do I have the potential to make millions of dollars per year? Yeah. And so I should probably, since I'm doing business, right, I should probably actualize that. Since I have the potential to become a fully enlightened being, a holy being, right, I should actualize that, because that one lasts for all my future lives, whereas making money only lasts for this life.
Mm.
And so that's why enlightenment is the most important goal, because it lasts forever, whereas anything material only lasts one life, which is a big difference. So I think for spiritual people, they need to think about their spiritual potential, or everyone really should think about it. But like, what's your true potential?
Mm.
And putting effort into your gifts, into like trying to express your gifts. And I would take it a step deeper and say it's not just about expressing your gifts. It's also about expressing your gifts in the service of others.
Yes. Yes, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what Dharma is, right? That's like, I first learned this concept from Deepak Chopra. And I learned a lot from him. He's a wonderful person. And in that book called 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, in the last chapter, he talks about the law of Dharma, or the purpose in life. And that formula changed everything for me. I mean, I literally was lost I had about a year where I was off track. I was in between getting my psychology degree, undergraduate, and then becoming a substance abuse counselor. In between, I had a year where I went back to school for engineering. And it was not my purpose. It was not my path. It wasn't my gift. It wasn't in the service of others. I was mediocre at it. I didn't love it. Right. And I was doing it mostly for myself, out of fear to some extent. And my ego kept getting pat on the back for, oh, the engineer. Cause like I could do it. I was mediocre at it. So it's like, why would I put my effort into something like, how is this contributing to the world? If I'm only mediocre at this and there's other people who are great at it, like, why would I put this out there when there's things that I am great at? Well, shouldn't I focus on those and help the world with those things? So that's a really good way of getting in touch with our potential. It's just thinking, what are my gifts? And I think, the way I talk about that is like, or this is from Deepak Chopra. What do I love to do? And what am I really good at? And how can I use this in the service of others? That's it. And if you can do that consistently, you are ripening your potential. You're getting in flow. Everything good in the universe comes back to you, and you'll have a great life. And for some people, that's the extent of what they are going to do. And for people who have deeper spiritual teachings, you might have more subtle practices that you can do. You may have other things that you can do that are in that same direction of like, how do you ripen your full potential? How do you make yourself more loving? How can you become more respectful? How can you take your faith that you already have and increase it so that it's like even way bigger, right? How can you make gratitude your go-to in every moment, right? And not just like once a month.
Thanksgiving. Yes.
Yeah, right. And so these are what a spiritual person does. And when I say spiritual, I'm using the definition that my spiritual teacher has given, which is like a spiritual practice is anything that increases our positive states of mind and reduces our negative states of mind. That's what spiritual practice is for me. And according to modern Buddhism, that's what we call it. And that I probably should define that more often, because I think it's a vague term and a lot of people define it differently. But like, according to that definition, everyone should be spiritual, right? It's like, well, duh. I want to increase my positive states of mind, increase my positive energy, decrease my negative states of mind, decrease my negative energy. That's a good life, right? And spiritual practice is anything that does that. And so that's what I mean by actualizing our potential. It just means we do that more and more often until we're done, until it's fully grown, which is actually a possibility. It's not just an idea. Many people have done this, and they are enlightened beings. They're the holy beings that people pray to and so on. They're real, and they've already done this, but they started out just like us. And so we can do it too, as long as we follow the path that they show us. And that's how I like to think about. For me, true success comes from having done all that stuff.
That is beautiful, because when you said spiritual, I was wondering where you're going with it. I like that definition of to true spiritual path is increasing positive states of mind and decreasing the negative states of mind. I love it. That's all spiritual. People put it in different faith, no matter what faith. That is spiritual.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to be there, increasing their positive energy and decreasing their negative energy?
Right. No, I mean, everyone would agree, I think, with that as being something important to do. Definitely.
What is one achievement that you are so proud of?
I think becoming a monk was
Mm.
is more like an initiation than it is an achievement, but
Mm.
it's something that I feel really connected to even still.
Why would you say that you are most proud of that, being a monk or
It's
serving as a monk?
I'd say it's the thing that actually defines me the best. If I were to
Mm.
think about it, that's why I tell people that I was a monk. Like, you asked me to give you the bio.
Mhm.
I give my bio a lot and I tell my story, but I always include that part because if people know that about me, they
Mm.
understand me really well, really fast. And if I don't say that, then it takes people longer to know about me and to understand me. And I went through a period where after I had disrobed, before I kind of made new connections and made a community, I
Mm.
had a kind of a little bit of a dark period and I wasn't
Mm.
around my community at all. And no one saw that in me. No one saw that about me.
Mm. Mm.
And I I felt it felt like empty. And I just felt
Mm.
like I was constantly misunderstood. And I started realizing that if I just mentioned that fact, then people would, not everybody, but a lot of
Mhm.
people would just easily get me.
Mm.
And so that's why I say it. But why is it an achievement that I'm most proud of? Yeah, it defines me. I think it defines me better than anything else that I've done. And it's an expression of purity.
Wow. Mm.
It's an
Mm.
expression of purity and commitment to a path of purity.
Mm.
And yeah, it's a deep immersion in a meaningful life.
Mm.
And those are things that are really important to me still.
Mm.
And it was just something that I did that it made it really easy to make progress
Mm.
in my
Mm.
meaningful life, in impact, in improving myself and becoming more pure.
Mm.
It made it really easy. It was like the fast track. Well, I mean, well, yeah, it was like a conveyor belt on the assembly line of having a great life or having a meaningful life or
Mm.
getting enlightened. It was just a really important step for me that
Being a monk.
yeah, I still have not outgrown it. Like
Mm.
it's still a big part of me, to be honest, I think. And
Do you think it helped you, or it paved the way, how you want to serve the community?
I think it gave me a role of service where I didn't have to have all the answers on everything. Right.
Mm.
And especially the whole relationship topic. It,
Mm.
it gave me permission to have answers in one category of life, which was spiritual stuff and,
Mm. Mm.
maybe psychology and stuff.
Mm.
And it gave me permission to not have answers in another category, which is like relationships, for
Mm.
example, because
Mm.
obviously monks don't have intimate relationships. And so, um, yeah, that paved the way for me a bit, I'd say.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
because now like I try to stay in my lane a little bit. Like there are certain things that I really do understand and I try to share those things. And then when it comes to, let's just say, relationships, I'm still learning how to share those things and I'm still working on it. Like
Mm. Mm.
right now, like I'm recently out of a pretty long-term relationship
Mm.
and I'm learning a lot about myself. And
Mm.
it's like it's been a real process for me to like learn how to have very evolved relationships and how to be my most evolved self, within one. And it's hard work.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
being a monk was easier.
Oh, wow. Being a monk was easy, huh?
It was easier because you just didn't have to deal with that part,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's still hard because you still have a body and you still have urges.
Yes.
Like I still had urges. I was a young man,
Yeah.
but there wasn't any question about choice, right? There wasn't any there's a German saying, he who has choice has torment,
Mm.
right? And that's something I realized really quickly as I was preparing to get ordained. I realized that like just the simple choice of, hey, should I go over and talk to her? Like, hey, there's a pretty girl over there. Should I go talk to her or should I not go talk to her? Right? That question was torment. It was like, it was just like anxiety and whatever. And that was just part of my normal life. And then as soon as I put the wall up, and I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. I realized I could be happy either way. I could be happy if it's a yes, go talk to her. I could be happy if it's no, don't go talk to her. But having the choice was more anxiety producing, and more energy was expended just through the choice than anything else. And I just realized I can be content. And so that happened before I even became a monk, as I was getting ready to. And anyway, that's why being a monk was easier than trying to have relationships.
So, shifting gears, what is one challenge that you overcame, and what did you gain by overcoming that challenge?
Okay.
Or the greatest challenge, I should say.
The greatest challenge. What is my greatest challenge? Okay. First thing that comes to mind is maybe, I'm sure it's not my greatest challenge. I don't know what that would be. But one challenge was when I first got into business, I was really, really shy of making sales. And shy is like the right word. Like, I'm good with people. I was just really resistant to asking for money and to kind of putting pressure on people, or to sort of get them to do anything that they didn't want to do, or whatever. And I just was like really afraid of creating conflict, and really resistant to that. And as a result, I didn't make any progress in business. I'd say little. I made very little, or slow, we can say, progress in business, because part of business is selling. Any business is there's selling involved somewhere in that business, or else it doesn't function, right? And so I had gone out of my way, not out of my way, but I learned, part of my intention in learning marketing so deeply was so that I could make money and have a business without selling. I realized that doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah.
So
I
for
was
me,
going to like, how do you do that?
well, you can't, but I didn't know that, right? And so my shy little introverted self became nerdy with marketing, and I learned a lot of it. And eventually I realized that you have to sell too. And for me, what was happening was I had gotten good at marketing, but I couldn't sell my own services. I couldn't even get my own clients for much. Like I did have a few clients, but I was giving them the lowest possible prices that I could give anyone. Yeah. And just giving them and so I like barely made it by. And then what happened was I eventually became business partners. I went to a Tony Robbins event, and this was in 2019 in November. And Tony Robbins did a thing in Miami, a 4-day conference, and I went to it. I loved it, but like I realized on the that like my mission was to learn like leadership, sales, business. I needed to learn some of that stuff because I could see, like, I looked around and I'm like, God, like when I came here, I thought I was so smart, but I see all these people are more successful than me. And so maybe they know something that I don't know. And I just became open to it. And a friend of mine who I went to the thing with, he was very good at sales and he also liked marketing. And I had more experience in marketing. And so we decided to make a business partnership, right? And so we went to that conference as friends, we emerged as business partners, and we had already gotten our first 2 clients during the event, right? Which was mostly due to him, right? He met the 2 people and I helped to make the sale a little bit by providing the technical things about like what we were going to provide and stuff. But yeah, so this is part of my trying to answer that. How did I overcome it? He was so good at sales and we were business partners and we used to butt heads a lot. And he convinced me somehow to move in with him. And so we were like business partners living together. You know, his idea was like we were going to be so productive together. I realized it was horrible to live with him because there weren't enough boundaries and I just couldn't get away. But yeah, but it was good because by being around him so often and butting heads with him, like I couldn't get him to do anything without selling him on it, if that makes sense. If I tried to just present him a logical thing about, hey, can you pass the salt or whatever, he wouldn't budge unless I actually like sold him on it in some sort of emotional way. And I said butt heads, but there's like a tango, there's like a dance that you do when you're sort of like in connection with another person, trying to create the best possible outcome and protect yourself. And so I learned that the resistance in the sales process is not a bad thing, right? My tolerance for resistance was really, really low at first, and it became a lot higher. I learned that I can stay engaged in a situation where there's a sale happening or some sort of influence happening without crumbling. I can stick to it and I can stay strong and I can continue to try to get the positive outcome, even if there's conflict or resistance coming up. And so I didn't like know I was learning all those things at the time, but like I emerged from that brief business partnership, you know, better. And he taught me some things too. He like physically like taught me. And our 3rd client, I sold myself. It was someone who I knew, and I had never sold a $5,000 thing before. And he told me what to do, basically. And like I knew our product, I knew it worked, I knew it was helpful, but I didn't know some of the technical things. And he taught me a little bit, and I was able to close her on my own, which was super good for my confidence. And then we ended up parting ways because he just wasn't a good partner for me. And I went on, he wasn't appreciating my gifts and talents, and he was he tried to turn me into his employee rather than his partner. And it was really corrupt. And a lot of people would call him a narcissist because I think maybe he was, but he was definitely very influential. And I learned a lot from him, and it was not a good partnership for us. But I went on to start making $10,000 months, and he went on to do nothing. Well, I don't know about that. I think he has done something since, but at first he didn't. But it's because I was being oppressed in that kind of partnership, which I think a lot of listeners would understand.
Yes, yeah.
It happens. But
Wow,
like, that's part of how I overcame that.
That is beautiful, because it makes me want to say, you going to Tony Robbins seminar, or whatever you want to call it, and yes, you learned some from there, but you coming from a Buddhist, monk background, I'm sure that has taught you some as well, that that
Oh my God,
helped you with that. But you, even though the business partnership didn't work, instead of coming out regretting, the way you're expressing, you've learned, from those challenges, even though you had some challenges, being as a business partner with him, you came out learning some, and then, having your own tools.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I mean, I don't regret any of it. I learned, I needed it.
Even
It
though
made,
this relationship was, little strained. So, the
there's
so
that
for the listen,
phrase,
yeah,
you know, the
yeah,
phrase iron sharpens iron.
yes,
And he said that. And the thing, like, we butted heads a lot. We were both strong-willed,
yeah,
and he had a lot more experience in business, in corporate, in sales. Like, he had way more of that experience than
mm,
me, but I was an expert on
mm,
inner work, like mindset. And I'm like a genius with people, I would say. Like, I'm a
mm,
very high level intuitive with people, and I just know how to work with people. I know how to talk, and I knew marketing. I'm not like, at that time I'd only been really focused on marketing about 2 years, so it's not like I
mm,
was the master of marketing, but I was good at what I did. I only focused
mm,
on a little bit of what marketing can be, and I got very good at that little bit of it. And
mm,
so that's what I was bringing to it. But like, I could see the games, like I could play the game, I could do the tango. And he taught me to dance. If
mm,
sales is a dance, he taught me to dance by leading the dance. And I
mm,
ended up being able to dance and then lead the dance. So it's the same
mm.
thing that I mentioned in the beginning about leadership. I was
Yeah,
being led, and I
yes,
learned, to lead myself. I learned to lead others. And
yeah,
now I'd say I'm actually good at teaching sales. Like, you know, I have a lot of clients who make money, a lot of money sometimes, doing sales of their own programs. And I learned from some amazing people, and I've
mhm,
integrated it, and I teach it in my own way. But like, sales is a beautiful art. I'm
mhm,
in love with the art of
mm,
making
mm,
sales
mm,
now.
mm,
It's a
mm,
big transformation because it's actually one of my best strengths now in business, but it used to be my biggest fault in
mm,
business.
mm.
So that's why it was the first thing that came to mind when you said, what was your biggest challenge?
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. So, um, before I ask you what is the best business advice, who do you work with? Who are your ideal light workers and
My
healers and
clients.
coaches? Yeah. Who?
Yeah, I like working with people who are who are not just good at what they do, but they know they're good at what they do.
Mm,
Because that makes a difference, because having the confidence is something that, it doesn't matter how good your marketing is. If you don't have confidence, it's very difficult to sell your own program. So you need to actually be good and know that you're good. And then
mm,
if you do that, and you're in some sort of heart-centered, holistic
mhm,
type of meaningful work, like, it's essentially service-based business, where it's like either a coach or a consultant or a healer, an energy worker,
mhm,
um, that kind of thing. That
mm,
and you want to sell not just single sessions, but like whole programs, like 3-month programs or 6-month or 1-year programs or
mm,
whatever, something like
mm,
that. And you can do it online and not
mm,
just in person. Like, in person is fine, but
mhm,
but like, my best clients do it online too,
mm,
sometimes both. And I have a
mhm,
whole in-person local training coming out now, actually.
mm, mm.
Like a more some of my clients have already done it, but like, I have like a whole new retreat for that.
Oh, when
So
is it? When is it in the works, or do you know when it is
it's been
coming?
in the works. Yeah, I'm doing it as a partnership with someone else named Emily. And
Mhm.
yeah, next month
Oh,
is when yeah, we're almost done with all the, we're actually finishing it up basically tomorrow, I think.
okay.
And
Okay.
so yeah, we'll probably launch it either tomorrow or next week.
Can you give a little glimpse of what it is about, and
Sure.
just an overview?
Sure. Well, that one, if you're watching this, if you want to take the gifts that I just mentioned that you have and apply it to local business, getting
Mm,
clients locally,
mm,
which is actually way easier than doing
mhm,
it online
mm,
because of the trust factor,
mhm,
right? When you
mm,
meet someone online, it takes a little while to trust them. When you meet someone in person, you can trust them immediately. Plus, if you bring high level internet marketing sort of techniques and language and whatever to a local business, you will
Mm,
have the best marketing in your town by a factor of 10, by tenfold, by 100-fold. You'll
mm,
have enormously better marketing and a better business flow
mm,
than anyone else in your town, especially in that niche. You'll be like the only obvious choice in your town for that thing.
mm,
Whereas online, it actually is harder to do online business because there's so many other people there that there's more competition. There's a
mhm,
lot more competition,
mhm,
obviously, and their marketing is good. You have to actually be good at marketing in order
mm,
to do online business
mhm,
well. You have to be good
mhm,
at it. Whereas
mhm,
locally, you just put up a sign and you can get clients. But like imagine bringing the high level internet marketing to local, you'll blow up. And this is how I started, was helping local businesses get clients. And so we decided to take this as a focus because we both have experience. She's a yoga teacher and she got herself tons of yoga clients through doing local workshops and so on. I've helped my friends to do this. I've done this as well. And so we partnered together and we're doing it as a retreat style because we know our clients are busy. We're busy. We're not trying to create like another weekly call for everyone to attend. And so we're doing it as like deep dive retreats that you'll get access to. And so you just come for it's like half-day retreats. You get 2 half-day retreats,
mm,
gives you
mm,
the entire curriculum.
mm,
Okay.
mhm,
And then, but we actually allow you to attend 2 of them. So you get the whole curriculum twice. And
mm,
so it's a 2-month thing. And in between, you get access to a community and a messenger chat thread. So you can ask questions to us. And we've actually made it extremely affordable. So depending on when you're watching this, we're giving a founder's price, which is extremely low.
mm, mm,
Um, and so that it won't last for that long. But if you're interested in checking it out, you can go
mhm.
to locallaunch.com,
Local. Mhm, mhm, mhm,
www.locallaunchlab.com, and
mhm.
you'll see a presentation that we did. It's like a 10 or 20-minute video where we share all the details about the offer, and then the link to purchase is on there too. And like I said, the founder's price is less than half
Mm,
of what it's going to be. And so
mm,
I don't know how long the founder's price is going to be available, but
mm.
whatever yeah, if you go to that page, whatever the best price is will be on that page. So
Beautiful.
yeah, that's one cool thing. And yeah, I forget why I was answering that question.
No, I was asking who are you
Oh
serving?
yeah.
Who are your
Oh yeah,
ideal
right. Oh right.
clients?
Right,
Yes.
right, right.
And then
Yeah, because I
and then I
mentioned
was and then
online.
yeah.
That's right. I mentioned online. So like the other tool I use is Facebook. So if you wanted like my help or me and Emily's help or whatever, um, we do we use Facebook as the other tool. And so local and Facebook together,
Mhm,
pretty much you can get all your clients. That's how I've gotten every single one of my clients, every single one. And so it's the same, like that's what I
mm,
teach rather
mm,
than being complicated. Like a lot of people try to spread themselves too thin, and they're on TikTok and they're on YouTube and they're making sure they're on like 5 or 6 channels, but they don't get any of them to work for them because it takes time.
mhm,
Each channel has its own particular way of working it,
mhm,
right? Facebook, for example, like I'm very good at using Facebook, but it's not obvious. The average Facebook user has no clue what to
mm,
do to get business from Facebook. They post a picture of a thing and they expect to get business. That's not what I do. And so I teach you how to actually use that platform and build an audience. Like building an audience who love you on
mm,
any platform that you use is part, it's
mhm,
not all, but it's part of how you use it to
mhm,
grow your business. And building the audience takes time, effort. You have to know how to engage. Each platform has a different style delivery, right? If
mhm,
I were to like do TikTok, I would
mhm,
have to like look into like how are other people doing TikTok? And I would
mhm,
probably do short little skits or something for
mhm,
TikTok. Like it takes time to make content that matches what people are looking for on that platform. and then you start building an audience, and then once you have an audience, then you can make some offers. But anyway, so what I'm saying is, better than doing 6 platforms and getting no results, how about doing one, which is Facebook, and doing another one, which is in person if you want to,
Okay.
and then get all your clients from there. And so then you get time to rest. Like, people who are in business, especially if you're by yourself in business, there's no way to overestimate how helpful rest is. Rest is so helpful. And you have to give yourself time to rest. And that means being able to know, I did everything I needed to do today, I can rest now. And if you have a to-do list that's overflowing, you can't rest because there's too much to do. And so rather than doing all that stuff, just do less, but make it quality, make it worthwhile.
And the sleep is important because that's when you get your delta brain waves to function properly. So yeah, sleep is definitely important. I can attest to that as well. So next question I want to ask is, what is the best business advice that you have received?
First thing that comes to mind is Russell Brunson. So he's the one who I've learned the most from. I'm not sure what the actual advice would be that he gave, but he teaches something called the perfect webinar. And that's probably the single most impactful tool, or I'd even call it piece of technology that I've ever used in business. Is called the perfect webinar. I use it for everything. Yeah, it's so like, that's not just a little quote, it's a whole process, and I've studied it so extensively, and now I teach people this too. I mean, in terms of like actual quotable piece of advice, Mark Cuban and others say things like sales cures all. Actually, you know what? My previous business partner, the one who I said who taught me sales, he said something. He says sales should be rebranded as leadership.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And that's actually what changed everything for me, was just seeing sales as leadership. And so now my whole journey has been all about leadership, but it's comfortable for me to approach it as leadership and to become a better leader, which
like that.
also means that we're becoming better at sales. That's what it means. A salesperson is a leader. You're leading people into a vision. You enroll people into a vision, and that's how you sell anything.
I like that definition.
Yeah, so that's
Enrolling people into a vision. That is true, though. That makes it so comfortable and easy now. You know, it's not being, like a car salesperson. Nothing wrong against the car salesperson, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Enrolling people into the vision, into their vision. That is beautiful. Rather than looking at it as a sales. Yeah, as a leader, you are literally helping and enrolling people into their vision. I love it. Okay. I was going to ask, what is your favorite quote? But would you say that is your favorite quote then? Sales can be rebranded. No?
Because that was a business advice. What's my favorite?
What words do you live by? Let me ask you that. What words do you live by?
There's so many. I'd
Your
say
favorite.
my favorite. I mean, the meaning of life is attaining enlightenment. That's
meaning of life is what?
Is attaining enlightenment. That's the real meaning of our life. That quote I live by. But I think even more practical is being kind and respectful to others and to ourselves is the foundation of life.
Amen to that.
Yeah, for me, that's the foundation of everything. You can't get far without self-respect, respect to others, And if you have it, you have a foundation and you can build on that. So that's, I kind of took that quote, like those are my own words, but it comes from my spiritual teacher who
Mm.
talked about similar concepts. Yeah.
That is true, though, because if you are kind and respecting yourself, then you will take the time to rest. You won't overwork, you won't overdo things.
That's true. Yeah.
And then, that's how you will treat everybody who comes across you with the same attitude.
Yeah. I think there's a morality involved too. Like when I talk about self-care, it's not just, the normal physical things, like, which are also important, obviously, but
Mhm.
like there's a moral component too, of like, if you really respected yourself, you wouldn't do things that harm yourself, and transgressing ethics and having poor behavior
Mm.
harms us karmically. It harms us in more subtle ways, energetic ways.
Mhm.
And if you really respected yourself, you wouldn't do that.
Mhm.
Right. And if like any morality or ethics, any like compromise of ethics can be boiled down to either losing self-respect
Mm.
or losing respect for others. And so, right, I mean, can you think of any transgression that isn't one of those?
Yeah, yeah.
I
I mean,
think it covers everything.
mhm. Yeah, I
And
like
so
that. I
it's
like
like
to look at it that way.
it's like all we have to do, like that, it makes it simple. All we have to do is respect ourselves fully, like not just our present body, our present self, but like also our future self and our potential. If we
Mhm.
can respect those things, we
Mhm.
won't do things to harm ourselves, including things that feel good in the moment but that aren't good for us, right?
Mm.
And also, if we respect others, we're not, not just their present body, their present self, but their future self and their potential,
Mm.
right? Sometimes
Mhm.
we're nice to somebody because we don't want them to yell at us, when actually we should be kind and say something that they don't like, which helps them in the future,
Yep.
even though they don't like it right now. So that's that's the type of kindness that I'm talking about. Like, you
Mm.
see what's actually best for somebody, which might mean you address one of their mistakes,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
you're trying to help them overturn a bad habit, or to like, you know, treat themselves kinder in the future, right? To get them on a better track. And that might require saying something or making your presence such that they are repulsed by you right
Yep.
now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But for the sake of helping them in the future. And so that's true respect. If you're respecting not just their present moment, but like their future self and their potential. And this is how we are truly beneficial to others, I think, is respect for them.
I appreciate you for shedding light on that and explaining it. That is so true, though. They might not like it at that moment because whatever we said, but
Yeah,
you have done the right thing, and in your heart, and that's
we
all
try.
matters.
Yeah, we try. We can try to,
Hmm.
but if we see, like, that's the other thing that I would recommend to anyone listening, is like, we need to learn to get in touch with our intuition, and then to trust our own
Hmm.
intuition.
Hmm.
Because a lot of intuitive, sensitive people like us, like the ones that were listening or watching, we are intuitive and sensitive, and we pick up on things. But a lot of us are so used to being smashed for this, and we're gaslighted, and we're criticized, and we stop trusting ourselves.
Yeah.
And like, how many problems could we avoid if we just trusted ourselves more? So like, I started trusting myself more,
Hmm.
several years ago, and
Hmm.
even more so since then. And it's like, if I see something,
Hmm.
I don't even have to doubt myself. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not perfect, and occasionally I do, but like, I catch it really fast. We don't need to doubt ourselves. We're
Hmm.
not going to be wrong that much. And so
Hmm.
that means if we think this person is off track, or if we think, God, they really should think differently, or, I should say something, just do it. Don't worry
Yeah,
about ruffling feathers. You can get over that. They can get over that. Right? Like we need friends who are going to tell us the truth about stuff and who are going
absolutely.
to try to help us more. So like, I'll tell you for me,
Mm,
I don't trust if I'm letting someone into my close circle, or mostly if I'm going to start viewing them as like a mentor, if I'm
mm-hmm,
going to start seeing them as like someone who's really capable of teaching me and guiding me, if I'm going to turn over trust to them, and I'm going to surrender a little bit to their advice, I need to see that they're
mm,
willing to call me out when I'm doing something wrong.
yeah,
And if I completely stop trusting people if they don't do that for me, to
yeah,
be
yeah.
honest, because then I don't know if they're, because I sometimes I'm off, but I know
Mm,
I'm off. And then I'm
mm,
waiting for them to do something, but sometimes I'm off, but I don't know I'm off. And those are the times where I need people to like give me a correction,
mm,
right? And if people can't correct me or teach me something when I'm off, but I know I'm off, how
mm.
am I supposed to trust them when I'm off, but I don't know I'm off?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
like I'm just talking about how I build rapport with my teachers. Like I personally need that. And I think there's people out there who need that too.
Absolutely.
And so why not? Like if you notice something and like if the person's open, if you can make a good like you don't start a relationship like that, but like
Hmm.
if you build connection and rapport with someone, you can start to challenge them on things, and they'll probably think, God, I'm so happy to have someone like you in my life, because
Hmm.
everyone else just yeses me to death. Everyone else just tries to make
Yes.
me feel good, you know?
It's important to learn to say no, right? That's one thing I'm working on as well. It's completely fine to say no.
Yes, it's a complete sentence. We don't know,
Yeah.
and we don't owe anybody an explanation.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, so any worst business advice that you have received? John is laughing.
I try not to remember the worst business advice. I mean, start multiple businesses is the first one. That's
Mm,
probably the worst business advice, is start multiple businesses. I mean, if you already have one and it's functioning well and you've outsourced things and delegated properly and it functions without you, and you want to start a second one, of course, go for it.
mm,
Right. But I mean, generally, if there's no point in starting more than one business.
mm,
And this advice is, I think, particularly appropriate for men, because men
mm,
just have a very hard time doing more than one thing, I think. And
mm,
so that's the people who I hear saying this are all men generally.
mm,
And I
mm,
found it to be very true for me.
mm,
And
mm,
I don't know, it doesn't seem to resonate with women as much, because I think you guys can do multiple things without any problem, but
mm,
I can't. And so
mm,
starting multiple businesses would be the first bad business advice.
mm, mm.
What else? There's probably a lot. That's probably the main one, I'd say.
That's a good one. That's a good one because I have had one chiropractor who has mentored me has said, Aruna, what do you think of multitasking? And I said, it's good. And he's like, no, multitasking is not good because your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. If you're doing 10 things, and you think you are going to do the 100% on 10, there is no way you can. And I'm like,
Right.
oh my God, that is
And
so true.
that's true for menial tasks that we already know how to do.
Yes.
Think about for business, which is more complex, there's more moving
Mm,
parts, it takes longer to finish a thing. It might
yes.
take weeks to finish one thing, whereas in a day it takes 5 minutes to finish one thing. And a lot of them we're still learning. We don't even know all the pieces yet. And so like if you don't focus on it fully, how are you ever going to do a good job at it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think a lot of us, I'll tell you my experience is, we do multiple things because we're afraid of one of them failing. It's
Mm,
actually a way of protecting our ego. We're
mm,
afraid of failure. And so
mm,
we take on other things, which gives us a cushion. It gives us a pillow where we're like, well, it's not so bad if this one doesn't work, because, I'm
mm.
focused. I have my hand in a bunch of different
Yeah.
pies,
Yes. Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
because like then it doesn't hurt if it fails, but we're not even giving it a chance. We're not even giving it a chance. I like Elon Musk has a great quote. He's like, it doesn't matter if something's easy or hard, or if I want to do it or not. It's like, is this worthwhile doing? Well, then I find a way to do it. And that's the only question. It's like, there's certain tasks in our business. It's like, is this easy or hard? Doesn't matter. Do I really want to do it or not? It doesn't really matter. Is it worth doing? Yes, then I should just do it. Right. And we come across tasks that are like that in our business that we don't want to do. And we end up getting sidetracked with other things that feel nicer, and we never move the needle, never make progress in the unexplored areas. We're in our comfort zone, essentially.
That is true, because I like when you share, when you are talking about how we do multiple things because the underlying cause is the fear. Makes sense, because one, you try to cover, you try to occupy your time with doing multiple things. You think you're being productive, but you're just keeping yourself busy. There's no productivity happening there. And the underlying reason is fear, like you said, because it's like, okay, if I don't do one thing right, at least I'm doing the other things, thinking that I'm being busy, keeping myself busy. It's okay to do two things and then take some rest or reflect on it if it is done correctly. Makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any regrets?
Yeah. And I think that regrets are good. I mean, a lot of people don't like that word, but I used more of the Buddhist definition of the word, which in Buddhism, regret is what they call a changeable mental factor. So some things are only positive, like faith, right? Faith, love, these are always positive things, right? And certain things are always negative, anger, attachment, jealousy, pride. But regret can be positive, negative, or neutral depending on what you're regretting. And so regretting something positive that we've done reduces the power of that action, right? And so let's just say you make an offering to your spiritual teacher, and then it was like a little bit outside your comfort zone. You offered a lot of things, and then later you're like, God, why did I offer all that? Now I don't have anything. And you start to regret. If you start to regret that offering, regret reduces the power of your action. And so if you're regretting positive things, you reduce the positive power, which is a non-virtuous type of regret. And if you regret negative things that you've done, it reduces its power, and that's a positive type of regret. And yeah, so I have positive regret for lots of things that I've done. And one that I can talk about is like, back when I was like 23 or so, we had an abortion, me and a girlfriend. And so I regret my role in it, not so much that it happened. I gave it to her as her kind of choice, and whatever she would have wanted is what I would have said yes to. And I don't regret that part of it at all, because it wasn't in my hands. I regret my own role in it, which was, I'll tell you the story. Okay. So we had just graduated college. Okay. This is back in 2009. And we didn't really have a plan for what we were going to do after graduation. And so I moved back in with my parents, and she was staying with us. And basically, like, I just got my old construction job. I couldn't get into graduate school because I didn't have any letters of recommendation, or I didn't have relevant experience, but my grades were good enough to get in. But I just hadn't prepared. I hadn't prepared at all. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no real prospects on my plate. And she got pregnant. And we were just, kids. And that's what happens. But I remember she took the pregnancy test while we were in the mall. So we went to the mall near my parents' house, and she took a pregnancy test in the bathroom. And she came out, she showed me she was pregnant. And I remember feeling so happy. And I remember thinking, this is what all fathers must feel like when they find out they're going to have a baby for the first time. And I just felt like so good. And then, like a dummy, I started talking about, well, you know, we have some options, and, you know, there's this thing called Planned Parenthood, because one of my friends had taken girls there to get, you know, whatever Plan B pills and stuff. So like I knew that it existed. And I kind of felt like the baby started dying right then, actually, once we started discussing those things, because I became open to that type of decision, which, again, like, I don't mind if whatever happens was going to happen, but I don't like that I played that role in it. That, for me, that was a mistake. And I took this in Buddhism, like, killing isn't just killing, it's also the decision to kill. Right? So if someone says, oh, you know, like, if a king says, like, oh yeah, kill that man or whatever, it's actually worse than killing them themselves, because you're harming two people. You're harming the one who gets killed, but you're also harming the one who kills them, because they're committing negative karma, right? And so it's a decision that is influencing people to die. And I engaged in that a little bit. And the funny thing is about this is, it's not funny, but the part that makes it hurt more is that I had been becoming very spiritual for the year prior to this, about, and it was like my potential was ripening. I wasn't doing enormous amount of practice, but I was in psychology school. I knew I was going to become a therapist, and I started reading spiritual books, and they changed my mind, and they changed my philosophy on life, and they changed my actions. And I really felt strongly that Buddha was taking rebirth in my baby's body. I thought that it was him that was going to become born as this baby, right? Which is interesting. It was just like a knowingness that I had. And so if you add that, because, like, I thought, well, we're both spiritual, like, of course Buddha would choose some sort of conduit like this, like that would make sense. And so there was that. And also, yeah, I didn't tell my parents about it, and because my mom had cancer, and I didn't want to disturb her, and we were living with them, I thought they would get mad because we were living with them, and so I didn't even tell them. And so we ended up making this choice, and a lot of it was out of fear. Like, I didn't know what to do. Like, we were living with them. I didn't like have a career, and I was just scared. And I mean, she had Crohn's disease, and she was on a medication for that where she's not supposed to get pregnant. So, like, she probably would have had a miscarriage, or she probably would have decided on her own to get abortion. Like, that's not what I'm upset with. It was just, I started to tinker around with this child's life for no reason. I didn't need to, like, say, hey, let's think about this. Like, that was dumb, you know? I think
The energy you sent out, that's what you're.
yeah, it was so harmful to the poor little baby who, didn't do anything wrong. Like, we should have protected its life more, I think. And I regret that. And I think that, yeah. But anyway, that's one regret. But I've worked with that one a lot. It doesn't have emotional charge anymore, But I regret that. I regret other things I've done too. But that's one of them.
What is one thing that others value and you don't?
I'd say, like, beauty products and makeup and fake body parts.
That's what others value and you don't. Okay.
I don't value those things. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't even, like, notice. I mean, I notice the fake body parts probably, but I don't notice a lot of the beautifying stuff. It doesn't add value for me as a man. it
Mm.
doesn't add any value.
Mm-hmm.
I look beyond it, but I think other people do gain value from some of that stuff.
Okay. What is next for you? I know you said the local launch lab, but
That's one. Yeah,
what
that's
is
one.
one?
That's
Mm-hmm.
one product. It's essentially a product
Mm-hmm.
that's being launched. What's next? Yeah, I mean, I'm working on a platform for coaches and healers, to like a community for us to kind of thrive within, to talk to each other, to make connections with each other, to offer classes and workshops with each other. So that's kind of cool.
That is in the works, or that is already
Well, the beginning version has started, so like you can join it now.
okay. What is
Um,
it?
what is it? It's connectingamazingpeople.com
Okay.
/CC. And the CC means conscious community.
That's
So
beautiful. Okay.
www.connectingamazingpeople.com /CC, like the letter C
Mm-hmm.
twice. And so that it's a free community to meet
Mm-hmm.
other lightworkers, healers, coaches. We're offering workshops in there. A lot of my courses are in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, you can get some of the best, we filmed these meditation courses and these spiritual courses and alignment and manifestation courses. Like we filmed some incredible, incredible material that were all paid programs at some point. And they're just like, they're free. And
Wow.
yeah, because like I was gonna charge at least like 200 something for the manifestation course, and here and there for other ones, but I just want people to be part of this community. And so I decided to just give it away for now,
Mm.
because I just want more people inside this community. And
Mm.
I want to be able to offer you a high level material. And, it's essentially, it's a community. And so it actually feels a little bit like a Facebook group.
Mm.
And part of the challenge is Facebook is so good at keeping people coming back for more, keeping
Mm.
people engaged. And, people if you're going to log into another platform, it requires some effort and some mindfulness. And I just wanted to put good stuff there that people would go back in for again and again until they start realizing that, hey, there's a lot of live classes in here too that are also really good that all of our members are offering for free to the other members.
Wow.
And
Beautiful.
so that's my intention in doing it. I just want to create it's like an alternate social media platform, although it's not my creation. I didn't invent the technology of this. I'm just using an alternate tech platform to build a community, because I feel less comfortable using Facebook
Mm.
for my community building every day. Like I think it's still a good tool,
Mm-hmm.
and I still love using it actually for getting clients. But in
Mm-hmm.
terms of building a big thriving community, I don't trust Facebook groups anymore for
Mm.
that, because
Mm.
my Facebook group, I have one that has 2,000 people. I have another one that has like 1,500. I have another one that has 1,000. I have other ones that have hundreds and hundreds of people. They all have no engagement anymore
Mm.
because I just kind of stopped using them. But I don't think that's fair to lose
Mm.
access to my community.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't even get my message to them if I wanted to right now. That's
Yeah.
not fair. I don't
Mhm.
want to do. That's not fair. And plus, I
Because by you not reaching them, you're taking away that blessing that you could offer to them.
yeah, right. It's a
Mhm.
community. Like part of having a community is that you can send messages to them and you can hear their messages back to you. That's
Absolutely.
part of how a community is formed, right? And
Mhm.
so I can't do that using a Facebook group right now. And I do get it. As Facebook, everybody and their mother has at least 5 Facebook groups, right? Or at least they have one. And that means all of us are in hundreds probably of Facebook groups,
Yeah.
and we can't get notifications for every little thing that happens in
Yep.
them.
Yep.
I
Yep.
understand. And so
Mhm.
it's not, I don't blame the platform. Facebook is wonderful. I just don't want to use Facebook groups.
Mm.
Or I don't want to create my own Facebook group on Facebook. I don't want to put effort into something that is going to give me zero returns in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and plus, I think we all understand that I think during COVID, the operators of Facebook showed their true colors a little bit. They showed their hand in terms of what kinds of posts were being censored and which messages were being suppressed and which narratives were getting run. I think it was quite obvious that they were intentionally suppressing certain messages and boosting other seemingly non-factual messages. And I just don't trust myself in the hands of a platform holder who has bad intentions for the world or who has a horrible discernment for the world, at the very least. And so I am still using the platform because it works right now, but I'm also building a community outside of it so that in the future, I don't need another social media. All I need is this and my email list. And so, and what I'm really trying to build, I'll be transparent, is I want to build a thriving community that's so large, that has so many amazing people in it, that whenever somebody signs up as a client of mine and I help them with marketing, instead of sending them loose on Facebook, on the jungle of the Facebook algorithm to try to go get clients, I can just plug them into my community, send a couple of emails or make a post, and now all of a sudden their workshop is full, their calendar is full, and they're thriving just based on what we already have going on the inside. So that's my intention.
Beautiful.
And so that's why it's in the works, but it's already started. You can see the baby version of it, depending on when you watch this, by going to that link.
Connectingamazingpeople.com/CC. The CC stands for conscious community. That is beautiful. I was going to ask, what is your intention? But you already covered it. That's a beautiful intention to give back to the community. And so many live, what do you call that? The value is so much, and you are giving it with the intention to connect amazing people.
Yeah. And again, like, depending on when people watch this, like, my first intention was to charge $1 per month to be part of this community. And I did start that. And I ended up making it free just because I wanted to get more people in for now. But at some point, it might go back to $1 per month or $10 per year. So depending on when you watch this, it's either free or $1 per month. Did you know, like, WhatsApp started as $1?
Really?
Yeah, they were $1 per year, I think, to use WhatsApp. And that's where I got the idea for this.
That's beautiful.
Like, if you can, everyone can afford $1 per month. If you really want to be part of it, you could afford that. And so, but I was just like, it ended up slowing down the sign up process because it wasn't $1 that stopped people. It was the fact that I made them watch a video of me explaining why it was so cool and that $1 was a good price. But I think people just weren't watching the full video or whatever. They're just, I don't know. It was like it slowed down the process. So anyway, I might go back to it at some point, though. Just to be clear, for anyone watching this, if you go and it's $1 per month, that is eventually going to happen again.
Okay. So that is what is coming up next. Anything else that you think I should have asked that I missed?
I think you asked really, really good questions. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
What you didn't do is you didn't ask anything super controversial. I like giving controversial opinions sometimes. So maybe we could get a controversial topic.
No. What did you think? That was controversial that I didn't ask.
Well, I don't know. I feel like we didn't have any. It wasn't. It was really good, this interview, but it wasn't super intense. I didn't feel any tension or like resistance. We didn't like lock horns at all. And I'm just kind of thinking like maybe we could have. It would have been more entertaining. I'm a little bit joking, but if you want to ask something hardcore,
no, how do you align with your Dharma, John?
Yeah, so I follow the formula in Deepak Chopra's book.
Mm,
7 Spiritual Laws of Success, where he says basically it's like you find something that you love to do,
mhm,
it helps you grow.
mm,
I added that one in, and
mhm.
it and you love it and you're good at it. So it's kind of those three. You love it, you're good at it, and it helps you grow. And then you find something that matches all of those things. And
Yeah.
then you think, how can I use this to serve humanity? How can I help the world with this thing? And I have rigorously done that kind of
Mhm,
contemplation for myself
mm,
at many points throughout my life. And one reason that I focus on community building is that is something that, matches all those things. I'm good at it. I love it. It helps me grow.
mhm,
And it's something I'm doing for the better of the world right now, connecting people together. That's why I use that domain name.
mhm.
Connecting amazing people is one of my gifts. It's one of my superpowers is connecting people to each other, to their highest potential. To connecting heaven to earth is also one of my missions. And so that's an example, but also like in business, what I focus on a lot is doing messaging. I help people with the words that they use in their business. And it's a gift that I have that I'm good at it and I love it. And so I do it to help the world. Right. Whereas there's other things that I used to do that either I didn't love it or I wasn't good at it. And even though I was trying to do it in the service of others, it just wasn't the most aligned and I had to let it go. Right. And so I think that process has been really important for me. And I don't think I don't think there's any way of finding a contradiction in that. I don't think there's anything false about that process. And so that's what I always do to find my Dharma.
That's beautifully stated. And I, to the listeners, when I had my first conversation with John, um, he's really good with words. And so he came up with just listening to my conversation, he came up with this, phrase that was like, wow. And it was in my mind and in my heart, but he just found that word, that those phrases. And so, um, and if you ever want to check out his connectingamazingpeople.com/cc, or if you are planning to work with John, you would just love, because he does have a gift for words. And so I just have to have one more question. When you said you connect also heaven with the earth,
Yeah,
can you just say briefly what your thought process is when you said you want to connect heaven with earth?
sure. And just by the way, for everyone who is listening, like if you do want to find out what it's like to work together, if you're interested in connecting with me, if you sign up for the conscious community, you'll see a way to schedule a call with me on
Mm,
one of the pages. There'll be my calendar link will be there, very findable. And there'll be some material that you can find as well, some videos of mine that you can watch for free to find out more about what I do and to see how it all works. And I give away free material on finding your niche and creating your program. So that way you're the most prepared, so that when we
mm.
finally talk, you realize like, hey, this person's already helped me a bunch. Maybe he can help me more. Like I want to make it as easy of a process as I can for both of us. And so that's why I give away some of my content for free. But anyway, if you go to the conscious community sign up page, you'll find all that information there.
The
Yeah,
www.connectingamazingpeople.com/cc.
that's right. Yep, you'll
Okay.
find all the information after you register. You'll see it on the second page there. You'll see it. Okay, then your question was
How do you connect heaven with the earth?
oh yeah. This is an interesting topic. So this one's a little bit it's a little controversial, but maybe not. Going to heaven by itself is not our highest achievement, because it mostly just helps us, right? And a lot of us, you can use heaven as being an analogy for just like peace, freedom, becoming as happy as you possibly can, like transcending your own problems and so on. Like, this is important. We all need to do it. This is essential. But if that's all you want to do, it can feel a little bit like an escape. And it's not the most high way that you can serve others. What we want to do is gain those experiences and then ground them onto earth, get them embodied and integrated into our actual life, and then invite other people into that experience. And again, this is leadership. This is what leadership is like you create an experience of heaven on earth for yourself, an embodied lived experience, and then you use your influence kind of skills to invite other people into that experience so that they have it too, because it's not something that you can just give away. Like, people need to do, if they want to sustain that level of experience, they have to practice. They have to do something to get there, which means they have to be open to like listening to what you say and to practicing something. But essentially, yeah, so it's like an embodied experience. It's like grounding it. You take these heavenly experiences of peace and surrender and bliss, and you bring them down to earth through an embodiment practice. Through it, for me, the word integration, the word grounding. When people talk about being grounded, for me, it means integrated into reality. Grounding something means integrating it into reality. It's like the field that we ground it into isn't below our feet, it's in front of us. It is the field, is the fabric of life, is the fabric of reality. And that's the field, the quantum field, if you will, right? Cosmic field, whatever it is, like that's whatever blissful heavenly experiences you have, you need to integrate it into that field, right? And into reality, essentially, through living it, essentially, through making sure that your normal life, the 3D normal life, and then your blissful, peaceful experiences, making sure that they're not separate.
They're merged.
Yeah, if they're separate, you're still using it as an escape. That's an escape hatch. It's not heaven on earth. It is an escape to heaven occasionally, and hell otherwise, or whatever, mundane life otherwise. You need to bring them together. And that's what integrating it into reality means. And that's how you ground it. That's actually how you ground heaven to earth. That's where the real work is bringing them together. And when you do that, people will recognize that you have something special. And then it's your job to try to invite other people into that experience. And that's how you make the world a better place. That's the ultimate way to help people.
Yeah.
Because,
beautiful.
A lot of us develop a doomsday mentality. I already mentioned it earlier of like, oh, the world's becoming a worse place. And I think it is. But like the way to help it is to ground heaven to earth. The way to like say, see you later, suckers, is like, let me escape to heaven.
Yeah.
Well, is that really admirable to like leave a dying planet or whatever? Like, is that really what?
That's not the leader. That's not what leaders do. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's part of the equation is to go there and get that experience, but then bring it back. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So bringing it back is by sharing, like you were sharing, you are not perfect, you've gone through challenges, but, coming out of those challenges, I'm not bitter. I've learned lessons from my business partner or whatnot, and I've turned it around and, how spiritual you are by, with the positive state of mind and, increasing your positive energy and decreasing your negative energy and living that life with freedom and bliss and peace and, grounded, and inviting people into that and showing them like, yes, life has got this ups and downs and roller coasters, but, I've gone through this and I can guide you through and learn from each other.
Yeah. And like that field of the fabric of life or reality is essentially like the present moment, right? We have to anchor in our spiritual experiences into the present moment. We have to bring it into it. We can't keep it separate. We can't let present moments pass by in front of us without integrating a spiritual experience in, because that's a waste, isn't it? And that's how you ground it, is by integrating it. So it just means practice it. Practice your spiritual experience. It doesn't necessarily mean talk about it, tell other people, hey, you should become more loving, or hey, you shouldn't have done that, or hey, watch out for karma. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, that's anybody.
You have to walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yeah, you have to actually do it. You have to actually practice. That's what I mean. This inviting other people in is the next step, but that's not the integration step. The integration step is you just doing it yourself for the sake of doing it, because you see it as the right thing to do. Yeah,
the right thing to do. That is the line, a word to be underlined. That is the right thing to do, regardless of what other people think. Right. That is the right thing to do. So I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to continue to do it. And then people will see it, for who you are.
That's right. And then, and only then, do they really become open to your words. Yeah. Right. People listen to our words if they appreciate our example.
Yeah. People are observing, and our actions speak louder than our words. So if I'm speaking like, okay, yes, I'm all about peace and groundedness and love and whatnot, and I'm not integrating into my life, in reality, and my actions are just the opposite, then people can see through it.
Right. And so like for you, like you are very peaceful, you're happy, you're loving, you're positive. Like you're welcome. I think anyone would see that and be like, I could learn how to do those things from her, from you. Like that would be obvious, right? And if someone were to look at me and they were to like look at, say, for example, right now my YouTube channel has about 180 subscribers in this moment, right? If someone were to look at that, and if I were like preaching all about YouTube, people would look and be like, I don't know if I really want to learn YouTube from you, right? Like, I'm pretty good at making videos, but like I haven't learned much at all about what to do for YouTube, other than I could put something on there, but that's different than growing a YouTube channel and making your business run using YouTube. That's a whole different thing that I'm trying to learn. Yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is people see the example and then they figure out, do they want to become open or not? And that's good that people do that. Yeah. And they do that with us. And when we're first learning spiritual stuff, for example, what I did was I was so excited. I went to tell everybody about it, and people are like, okay, right? And they don't really take you seriously. And then when you stop talking and you just keep doing it because you actually want to do it and you're doing it for the right reasons, not so people think you're cool. When no one's looking, you're still trying to like integrate it. You're still doing it. Then you start making real progress. Yeah. And then people notice it eventually. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is a beautiful conversation. I appreciate you for taking your time. Any last words? I know I didn't ask any controversial questions.
Well, you asked about the things that I don't get value from that other people do.
Yes.
That could have become controversial, probably.
There you go.
There, I'm satisfied.
That makes me feel happy.
Good.
Yeah, well, I asked one controversial question.
Yeah, for sure.
But thank you so much for your time, and for the listeners, I will post his website where you can reach John as well. And his website is alignintoabundance.com, and that has got some great information. And I really like the content in there as well. But if you want something free, but you can experience what John is teaching, then I'll post this connectingamazingpeople.com/cc as well in the podcast notes.
Awesome.
Thank you again. From a Buddhist monk's perspective, from a counselor's perspective, and from a digital marketer and a leadership coach, conscious leadership coach, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I learned so much, and I'm sure listeners did as well. And
Thank you. It's nice connecting with you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone watching or listening. Hopefully, I'll connect with all of you. Thank you, Aruna. This has been a lovely talk. Thank you so much.
welcome.